Hey guys, this is Mohammed.
And this is Valerie Genther.
And this is ATV News. From high screen times to proposed bans, TikTok has been a big conversation for Gen Z recently. Enzo Moscatello did a deep dive into the effects of TikTok on high school students.
Well, let's start with TikTok.
TikTok.
Specifically, TikTok.
What they call a troubling trend on TikTok.
Designing its platform to be addictive.
And an increase for eating disorders.
Self-harm content.
That gives them a neurochemical response.
May have significant problematic use.
It's involved in addiction. It's what's involved in the reward circuitry of your brain. We see that it gets spiked up. So when they're looking through...
So what are your concerns with this?
I'm scared that people aren't going to answer honestly, and they're going to say like, oh, I go on TikTok 1 hour a day, but really it's 6. But we'll see. Okay, so how much would you say you use TikTok every day?
3 hours and 41 minutes.
It's probably I probably spend like 4 Yeah, I spend like 4 to 5 hours a day on TikTok.
12 hours.
You think 12 hours a day?
3 hours probably.
No lie. I want to say about like a smooth little 10.
Probably an hour a day.
I would say I spent about 4 hours on TikTok.
I'm not gonna lie, I live on TikTok, so I'd say like a good 6 hours if I'm being honest.
Like 5, like 3 hours,
24 hours.
All day. The TikTok epidemic is contagious as it continues spreading to teenagers throughout the globe. When surveying the students of Athens Drive, over 45% answered that they use TikTok for more than 3 hours a day.
I mean, yeah, our generation spends a lot of time on TikTok. I spend a lot of time on TikTok.
High school senior Audrey Robinson downloaded the app when she was only 13 and uses it daily now.
I noticed that my screen time was an average of like 6 or 7 hours a day, which is like way too much, and it was getting in the way of like doing my schoolwork, and I couldn't even like sit and watch a movie without being on my phone.
Though a lot of us can admit our daily TikTok usage is a problem, the rabbit hole that is the For You page isn't ending anytime soon. As an AP psychology teacher at Athens Drive, Miss George sees the addiction in her classroom every day.
So like the way that TikTok even has like no breaks in between videos, it goes like simultaneously to the next one, keeps people involved. And like the way that there's no like sides, you can't see anything, like there's really no escape when you're in the app. You're just in the app. And that's why people keep scrolling so long. And it doesn't tell you how long you're on there. Sometimes you can't even see the time.
But the average TikTok consumer may not be aware of what they're feeding their brain.
Dopamine is, one of the chemicals that gives you pleasure. So when you are engaging in TikTok and you're getting those instant bursts of dopamine, you want to keep feeling that.
The constant consumption of short-form content has led to many concerns from educators and mental health professionals.
Obviously, I think the biggest one people bring up is attention. I think that it's just every day that's what I'm competing with. So every day I'm competing with TikTok and I can't win and I won't win. Also, I think when I'm trying to gain their attention for a long amount of time, which is pretty much every time I'm teaching or lecturing, is definitely more than 10 to 20 minutes. And when they're so used to having clips that are no more than 2 minutes long, it's really, really hard to maintain that attention level if I'm not like switching up even like where I'm standing or where I'm speaking or what I'm talking about.
I think TikTok is so addicting because there's literally anything you could want to watch on there. Like there are whole TV shows.
Okay, there are at least 20 victims.
Because I feel like my mindset is always like one more video, except it's like, oh, that was so short. But like they're all short.
We have never been as connected as we are now. We see more people every day, we talk to people more, and we hear so many opinions every day, and we're not like built to like hear that many thoughts and opinions every day. We're not. Like think about every day we like interact with more people than probably people in the Middle Ages saw their whole life.
But what keeps us scrolling for so long?
You can look for all type of things on TikTok. You can look up how to fix cars, how to fix food, how to self-harm, how to try new drugs, and the impacts of new drugs. Also, they market it to teenagers, which they make it look really cool. It's short form content that goes out in a 15-second clip versus you having to watch a 30-minute YouTube video. So it's easy, it's accessible, and it's easy to share amongst your friends.
As a teen counselor in the emergency department at WakeMed in Raleigh, Dr. Thorpe has seen the impact of TikTok through his patients.
And then you also get examples where teenagers who have never self-harmed before start to self-harm. And then you ask the teenagers like, hey, is there anyone in your family that's done this before? Have you ever seen this in a family member or a friend? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, Where'd you pick it up from? Where did you see this at? TikTok.
TikTok definitely shows like people our age content that we want to see, but we shouldn't see. I personally have seen so much about like body image and eating disorders, and like it's targeted at like teenage girls.
But how do you fight a social media addiction?
I can tell you I have a limit. So I only watch TikTok an hour a day. I don't go over it. And honestly, most days I don't hit it either. Okay. I have an hour on there and my fiance has the password, so I can't extend the time. But that's something I put on myself because I found myself every time I was alone or every time I was bored, which is a big one, I would reach for that. And I think another big thing too, now I find myself when it's like before I leave, I have like 5 minutes. Instead of sitting on my phone, like I'll read a book for 5 minutes.
Teenagers should have the ability to access social media and be a teenager. I just think that TikTok probably should do a better job of making sure the content is safe for teenagers to view.
I think we need to understand how short form content is impacting our daily lives. From there, we can pinpoint which aspects to focus on, whether it's like setting screen time limits or knowing when to click off of a video that may not be beneficial for mental health.
Whether you choose to delete TikTok entirely or just set a screen time limit, the most important thing is to be mindful of your social media use, reach out when you need help, and realize that social media is not always reality.
Wow. Thanks, Enzo. I might have to take a look at my screen time. I'm Mohammed.
I'm Valerie, and thanks for watching HEB News.